Today, I'm excited to welcome Kurt Alexander to Totally Music to chat about his musical career. Kurt, welcome to Totally Music. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. My name's Kurt Alexander. I'm an independent artist from sort of Bath and Bristol area. And yeah, I write mainly sad songs, sort of emo type stuff, yeah.
It's great to have you on. So what inspired you to pursue a career in music?
Um I sort of memories of when I was younger, like my parents listening to sort of the Beatles and stuff, but I wasn't really like into music until kind of I guess when I was like 13, 14. Like I think most people around that age have kind of like the emo phase, like got really into sort of Fall Out Boy and like Paramore and that kind of stuff. And yeah, like was really into sort of live bands, and then in school formed a band with some friends, played at like the school shows and stuff like that, and it was kind of the first time where I realized like I was like, oh, like you can do this without like lip syncing or stuff like that. I was like, I it's obviously like, to me now it seems like so foreign, but in my head at the time I was like, oh, these bands like aren't playing live because you can't, because it's so like complex and like won't sound good. But um yeah, kind of getting up on stage really sort of inspired me to be like, yeah, this is what I want to do and this is actually like possible. Yeah.
Yes. So how would you describe your musical style, and have you noticed any significant evolution to your music since you started making music?
Yeah, so in like recent years, I guess sort of 2018, 2019 onwards, I've been heavily inspired by sort of like the math rock and like Midwest emo kind of scene. I feel like that's um thankfully very much like having like a resurgence, or had one in like recent years, which I'm like all about. But yeah, I started so around the time I got into music, I started writing it. So sort of like age of 13, 14. Um and yeah, I guess it thinking back to some of the songs that I wrote when I was that age, I think it has sort of like changed, and there's been an evolution in it because I've changed as a person. Like it's such a, yeah, like you change as a person. So of course, like the stuff that you're writing about, the things you're going through, like change. So of course, yeah, my musical style has changed, I guess.
Nice. So what's your creative process like when you're writing and composing a new song?
It differs, I think. I'm quite a big fan of writing straight into like a DAW. Like I used to use GarageBand for a while, but sort of like Logic, I write straight into that sometimes because it gives you a chance um to kind of get your ideas down quickly. So you're sort of going straight from like, I've got this idea to, oh, it's there in front of me, and like a demo. But that being said, like there's also some songs like I have a song called All My Friends, which wrote I wrote a long time ago. Like, and I wrote it hungover whilst led in bed, like just an acoustic guitar and singing. So it does, yeah, it does differ quite a bit.
So do you have a specific routine or method that helps you bring ideas to life?
Um, Mainly just kind of writing things down or recording it onto like video. Quite a lot of the time I'll like have two guitar bits in my head. I'll record one and then play along or try and figure something out along with the one that I've already got. But yeah, I mean, writing stuff down, like my memory's not very good, so it's a lot of the time it's a case of kind of getting stuff and ideas like written down as soon as possible so then I can come back to them and like revisit them.
So which song of yours do you feel represents your artistic voice the most and why?
Um, I think there's a couple, but probably the main one is from the I released an EP in November of last year or maybe September. I'm just moved so quickly. But it's a song called Choke. And I wrote it when I was 18, so 6 years ago, and it was the first song I wrote under the name Kurt Alexander. Um and yeah, it's got all of the stuff that I want in it. It's emotional. It's got like nice riffs. And then yeah, when I play it live, I get to shout about being sad into like people's faces. And um it's always a good show when like people are like into it, but there is also some like you get like a little bit of a rush when it's like you're shouting about being sad in like a cafe full of people. Like it can live, it can be like a very different experience depending on what's happening. Yeah.
I was actually listening to it before. I really like it. It's a good song.
Ah, thanks. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So how do you approach writing the lyrics?
Um, yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it's writing stuff down, like ideas, dreams, thoughts, like shitty poetry, like all of this stuff, I'm constantly writing stuff down, like, and it's not even like an artsy, like, oh, I've got a journal on me all the time, like, and I'm writing stuff in like a coffee shop or anything. It's literally just all on my phone, like my notes app. You could scroll for hours with just endless ideas. But yeah, I it's like writing that stuff down and then sitting down with like an instrumental or like a guitar, and trying to chop those lyrics up and like get them to fit in with each other. I also quite often I'll have um a lyric that I think is like is worth emphasizing or is important. And quite often I'll, instead of writing from that, I'll put that at the end and then write stuff before, like so that it's like it's the last thing that the listener's like left with, if that makes sense, before like a chorus or something like that. But yeah.
So what's been your favorite gig to date and why?
Um I mean, that's a big question. I was lucky enough last year to have, I think I counted it in the end and I played like 16 gigs, which isn't like a ton, but like I wanted to do more than the year before, which was like 5 gigs. So I like tripled that, which was yeah. But the I don't know. Leicester's always quite nice for me. I've played a venue there called The Big Difference a few times, and I haven't had a bad show there at all. And then yeah, I guess this is the thing is like the 30 minutes or like an hour me and the band spend on stage like is always great. It's just the stuff like beforehand that can sometimes be a little bit like we played a venue called the Thunderbolt, which is just outside of Bristol. And for some reason we were like, yeah, let's get the train in. We got the train, we started walking. It was maybe like 10 or 15 minutes to the venue. Um, and sort of 2 minutes into that walk, it just starts pouring it down. And there's actually I think there's video on like my Instagram. So if anybody wants to go and see it, of me like playing that show and like the top half of my t-shirt is just soaking wet. But yeah, I think the main standout one from last year though has to be the EP release show, like just the energy in that room that night was crazy. We had a few friends of ours open for us that night, sort of Parky and a fairly new band called Myrna. Like they absolutely killed their set, and it's always fun because you're like, oh, they're great, but now we have to, as the headliner, we have to kind of like make sure we're as good as like those people. And yeah, it was the first time I'd ever heard people sing like lyrics back to me, which was such a special moment. And it really felt like we were dreaming. Like it was great. Yeah.
Sounds good. So if you could perform anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Um, I think it has to be there's a venue in Bristol called the Thekla, which is it's a fairly small venue and it's like for anyone that doesn't know it, it's like on a boat and me and Matthew, the like a long-term friend of mine who now plays guitar on the project, me and him have been to like a good few shows there, and like that's always been like one of our favorite venues in Bristol. To the point where for uni I had to write like an essay on it. So yeah, that's very dear to me, but like if I'm able to dream maybe a little bigger, it would be what is it? It's the arena in Cardiff that used to be Motorpoint, but I think it's now
Changed
U
it, hasn't it?
Utilia or something like that. But that venue, like my first gig going to see Fall Out Boy was there. I've seen like so many of my favorite and sort of like influential bands pass through there, and that was kind of the closest arena to me as a teenager. So I had a lot of trips like to go and see bands there, and I think playing that would just be a massive full circle moment. But yeah.
No, it's a nice arena in Cardiff. I like it though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you been to see many shows there?
Yeah, I've been to quite a few there.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So finally, what's next for you?
Um, so I'm taking a little bit of a break now. Yeah, just like winter kind of hunker down and kind of hibernate, I guess. I I'm working on a few projects though. We're trying to book a tour at the moment for April, so that should be fun. Also working on an album that's mostly written. So we need to figure out what the kind of next steps with that are. And then yeah, I'm also hoping to collaborate with some people this year, which some of that's in the works. There's some people I'd like want to approach and ask about that. But yeah, that's kind of I'm hoping it's going to be a big year, but for now I'm just trying to decompress from last year. Yeah.
Sounds good. So massive thank you to Kurt for joining me on Totally Music. If anyone would like to check out his music, I'll leave all the links in the description below for you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.